you know.
About dudes that say your hair. We're talking about your hair.
You know, like with BMX, you know, I always look at BMX as a family sport, and that's something that I feel saved my life as a kid because I had a problem connecting with other kids just because I was in my head a lot.
Right.
And it was weird. I got along with the cool kids, but gravitated towards the kids that struggled.
Right.
And for whatever reason, I got along with both. But you know, riding a bike, there was such a freedom of getting on that bike back in the early 70s, something that I built from a junk pile. Pre-crossbar, you know, we used motorcycle grips, put black tape on the handlebar.
What year?
Like 71, 72.
So you were way
76.
before me.
I'm an old guy.
I mean,
you're old, but not as old as me.
No, I was only like 3 years old, 71. Yeah.
So yeah, I was popping wheelies when you were born. But
Dang.
now here's what's happening.
You were popping wheelies and someone else was popping something else.
Right.
Oh.
But now I'm old, and you're still popping wheelies, and I'm not.
You can. You see high enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Like, you know, I'm pretty determined. I've been working on it.
You could do it.
You know,
you
6'6". You know, I worry nowadays about falling back.
You're not shrinking at this age, don't you
It's an
shrink?
incredible shrinking woman inside.
I'm telling you, if anyone out there is shrinking, get an inversion board. It stretches you out, bro. You know, so you're not the incredible shrinking dude.
Yeah, what's like this new program is called Midnight Aerobics and Sheet Karate.
Okay.
I've realized that's been really helping out a lot. You know? Mouth push-ups. You know.
I've never done those.
You know, but you know, BMX. You know, to this day I love to ride, and I know you do. And you know, with the BMX, it's kind of a weird thing because a lot of guys that get older, you know, they hold such a high standard to it in retrospect.
Yeah, they do.
And you know, and it's not really about, you know, really being relevant. You know, I've seen on some of the forums where some dude that actually raced as a kid or was really into BMX and for whatever reason gets married, has kids, and he's coming back around into the sport, and you know, we all just piece bikes together. It wasn't a pre-planned by like nowadays you say, you know, I want a pro neck, I want a rear rims.
Or they didn't have complete bikes back then.
Right, we used
package complete bikes from like whatever, like GT
a
or
lot of
Hutch
collectors,
or R.
right. And now collectors are like, this is the way it needs to be built, and I feel a lot of it's in retrospect. You know what I mean?
Because back in the day, there was no rules on how it was going to be built.
Right.
Yeah.
And it, you know, if I broke
But
something,
who puts rules? But to cut you off, putting rules on anything, it goes against everything of why we even rode.
That's my point.
We were like, we don't like rules. That's why we're riding bikes.
Right.
I'm sure that's why people skated or surfed or
Right.
whatever.
And so like some newcomer, old timer newcomer comes in and posts a picture of like a '94 Robinson, you know, with like it's not period correct parts. And man, that guy will get railed by a bunch of old school BMXers, you know, and I watch that and I'm like, you know, we need to, it's a global sport, and that's something that I feel like we should help in that. You know, with it being more encouraging.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I know dudes that are younger than me that they're total retro. Like they don't maybe ride as much. They don't at all. I mean, not to say they don't ride, but not at the level they were. And their whole deal is to relive like the '80s, right?
Right.
And they may have been from the '90s. And I'm over here going, I lived the '80s. The '90s were cooler.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because we had hip sacks and bikes were pink and like it was just like
never had a pink bike, but I know what you mean.
No, but they were GT came with a pink bike and everyone had to ride in their uniform, which is cool. But when in BMX freestyle racing's different, it's still wear the uniforms. But we came from that we were a spawn of that in the beginning.
That's right.
So we would all like be in our team jerseys and you know leathers and this and that, whatever. And when that broke off, I really liked it more because that opened up a way to be more creative
and that's
to develop your own style.
And that's a good point because you definitely have you're old school, but you stayed so relevant. And I think that was the point of the conversation. But you know, having that BMX background, and I think when the sport, as many sports, get hot spots, they become extremely popular. And then things start to die down. And I think the whole freestyle was a way of reinventing BMX in a way of going, how do we sell frames? How do we, you know, get rid of the stock by adding pegs to the front? I mean, there were BMX bikes converted at first.
Yeah.
Before they started actually welding placement for the feet, making the bar, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it started off by converting a BMX bike,
Well, see,
as we did the Stingray. We did
Yeah.
the Stingray, and then we made the Stingrays into BMX bikes. Then BMX became a sport. They became lighter equipment. We got get higher, more air.
Well, in the beginning with freestyle too, we rode all race bikes. Like, because Haro was the first to come out with freestyle bikes, right? But not a 20-inch BMX bike.
Right.
So up until that point, we would have all race products. Flight cranes, bullseye hubs, array of rims, uni seats, all that. We rode all of that stuff.
That's right.
And then there reached a point where we were still piecing
Those are the
bikes.
best parts to this day. That's why
they are.
You named all the parts.
Yeah, and so we would be like, okay, and so as freestyle grew, and we were still piecing bikes together because we didn't go get complete bikes. We'd have half and half. We might have had like a Haro frame, but then we'd have like all the race products and the Comp 3 tires because there wasn't like freestyle tires.
Which now will run you a couple $100s for a pair.
I wish I had them still.
I know, right?
Yeah. Like, I miss all, man, the thing with me is I don't have any old stuff because I broke it all.
Well, that's why.
And I was like,
it's all right here.
I know you have it all. You have it all. But I wish I would have had some of my old stuff.
And that's what I love about you as a friend and stuff. We have a lot in common. We have kids. We're raising families,
Yep.
and the BMX sport lives on. I become, I love to ride. I become more of a collector, and I've built plenty of bikes, and now I love, I have a couple of old school pro BMXers. When I piece all the parts together, I collect everything in retrospect, what I wish I had or what I didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
I'm able to build these bikes. And I built enough bikes where I give them to, NoHo bicycles. And those guys are pros. And I got to tell you something. I can build a good bike, but when you get a bike back from those guys, it's dialed.
Yeah.
It's race ready. Now, not that I'm going to race it, but it's race ready, And,
yeah, because I still hit when we used to have, I still do it to this day, with my bottom bracket, put my bearings in, because everything's sealed now, there's no cups. Back in the day, you'd have cups, and you had to grease your bearings, put your bearings, and you had one-piece cranks,
right.
and all this, that. But I still hit mine with a hammer. like a metal hammer, not like a...
Well, and not to deny that, I just think it's really...
Sorry.
You didn't get that?
No, I thought that was some of my kids. Let's keep going.
But anyway, so, I just think in general that, I did this bike show and a lot of people got upset that I was
one of them.
Well, the Valley had so many of the original racetracks. It's a Southern California sport.
Man,
it originated
so
here.
rad.
And the thing is, not only having the early tracks here, a lot of the early pros. Not only
Are they trying to build this place or what?
Right.
Yeah. Take a break. Take a fiver.
Right.
Yeah.
Fiver, dude. High fiver, dude.
Fiver.
Party.
Yeah. Dime bag.
But the thing is that we had the early tracks. We had, Champion here.
I think we should fire this fucking guy.
Oh man,
he's messing our shit up. Can I cuss in this? Sorry. Tony, huh? Johnny, it's down here, huh? Tony, huh? It's just all things, audio, you know what I mean? Not go together too very well.
But but anyway, it's a family sport, and I did this bike show, and there's a few people got mad that I was taking it outside of the Valley, not realizing that BMX is a global sport that started here. And I think
it's so rad it started here. I wish I lived there this time.
I think us trying to hide it and say that we own it is not fair to the sport, because I don't want it to die out. I want generations to enjoy it. But most important part of history, of any history, in curating it and becoming a nonprofit, is to share that history.
True.
And to let the public know that the sport of BMX is that the Valley played a huge role in that sport, as Orange County, all over Southern California, Malibu. I mean,
but do you think for a second that people are just territorial? Like, say riding pools, it's a whole nother trip, because pools last, if you find it, you don't want to blow it out and have 50 people over there, and then it's a bust.
You want to keep it secret. Especially with the locations.
We call it politics.
Politics.
Because
remember that politics.
Because someone's always getting
like ghetto politics.
It is, because okay, here's my theory. If there's an abandoned, a house that with a permission or a pool that's okay to ride and everything's cool, and I find it, and you find it, none of us own it.
Right.
But dudes want to get territorial and get egos and get trips and disconnect and this and that and hide. And I think they want to showcase that they found a new thing, and everyone's going to go, oh my God, you're so bitching. And I don't know, I sound like a jerk when I say that, but like some of the vibes that I've gotten, what I'm trying to relate to is, and I understand it, so I'm not mad at anybody. I'm pretty neutral. Like I get along with everybody. I try to get along with everybody.
But you don't want to expose a location, especially if
no, you don't. You don't. So don't get that twisted that I'm trying to say. But I've had dudes come at me.
But you want to be able to get it. You discovered it to some degree. You want to ride it. You want to enjoy it.
But you want to share it.
But you
want to share it. Move on.
After you rode it about 10 times.
No, but a lot of times, you very rarely even go back.
Right.
Because you hit it and you just keep moving. You hit it and keep moving.
Right.
So by any means, like I get along with everybody, but there's a lot. I'm just using this as an example to what you're saying. Dudes want to hoard things and make them theirs because they're territorial and they're afraid of change. And it wasn't like we were back in the day. We want to keep it OG and this and that.
Right.
I think that's in everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's in everything.
Well, now that leads me into the thing. Is so, talking about relevancy and in the sport and the history of BMX and freestyle, you're a guy that sleeps, eats, and breathes bike, BMX.
I just breathed, but I did. I just breathed.
And child support.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Blow that out. Keep blowing that out.
But what I really am amazed is that, like I said earlier in the interview, is that you love to ride, and you got this new project. I mean, you're doing music, you're riding every day, and you got this new thing called Pool Seekers. Tell me a little bit about Pool Seekers.
Yeah, and for the record, when you go to edit this, you don't have to put that pool stuff in there because I'm not trying to make enemies with people. I'm just saying no because
leave it in. Leave this in the interview.
No, leave it in there because people do get bent out of shape, and I understand it though because you find something and you ride it and you want to share it with your close friends, but in BMX you have to remember in Southern California right now there's probably this many people that ride pools regularly on a BMX bike, maybe that many.
Right.
Skating's different. Skating's huge. So I understand when a lot of people show up to a spot, it's a bust, it's done.
Right.
It's done.
For sure.
I get that, bro. I get
but
it.
Now
but I'm open to share. Hold on real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
I'm open to share any spot that I find because I understand that I know I'm only going to go there once. I want to shoot a photo. I like to shoot a photo. I like to ride the pool, but shoot a photo, and I'll tell you about Pool Seekers, but shoot a photo that's going to inspire someone just off the photo. If I find it inspiring for me, I always believe that possibly could be inspiring for somebody else.
Right.
That's the kind of photos I like to shoot. And the whole pool thing, how it came about is I got divorced, had to move on, had to let go of possessions. That was hard for me.
Well, you were a spokesperson for the X Games. You were on
MTV,
KT Cribs,
Fox, NBC, all of them. And so I built myself up. And so I worked myself from the Midwest to where I was at in the hills, and I lived there for a long time.
You ended up in the valley.
And then I did. But the thing is that I had to let go.
Yeah.
And so when you go somewhere that's like done, and you see the house is done and the pool, you could only visualize that like what it used to be,
right,
and what it is. I created a show about it, just based off, getting over things in my personal life my attachment issues, and I created a show called Pool Seekers. You can see it online. Boost Mobile sponsored it. We did 10 episodes.
And then how would they find it? How would our viewers find it?
It's on Boost Mobile's YouTube. Just Google.
Okay, and
yeah.
it's Pool Seekers.
Tony Hawk's in episodes, Steve Caballero's in episodes, Sal was in an episode. I got a lot of BMXers in the episodes,
Because I know for years, for the last couple of years, all your photos, you're basically riding, jumping, motocrossing. I mean, you name it. And this pool thing, I noticed over this last year, maybe a year and a half, became really.
It did, but see, here's the difference with riding pools. Is when you ride pools, you do less tricks. It's almost like you're doing easy tricks in hard places, as a good friend told me. And then I got asked to do the Warped Tour with Vans. And there was like Hosoi, Cab, Bucky Lassick, Dennis McCoy. And I hadn't been riding vert, which is a different type of style of riding. And I felt embarrassed because I wasn't doing a teardrop of my tricks because I wasn't in shape because I'd been riding pools. Now, where I'm at right now, I'm riding a pool tomorrow. But I went back to riding vert at Vans and have relearned my vert stuff. So to say what the compliment you gave me earlier about being relevant is the way to be relevant is to reinvent yourself and know when to.
Right.
And say, okay, that's kind of ran its course right now. Because if people go on my Instagram and they're going to see I'm not living my life by Instagram. But it is a very powerful.
It's a good vehicle though.
It's powerful for me in my career. I'm not going to lie. But if you keep saying pool, it's expected. I'm boring. And I never want to feel boring.
Right.
So to entertain myself and reinvent myself.
Well, you being
go
boring,
ride vert, and dudes were like, "Oh my shit, you're doing turndowns on vert again," and I'm like, "So that's reinvented me in a whole nother way again."
Right. But you got a lot going on. So you have Good Guys in Black Music.
Yes.
You got Pool Seekers.
Yes.
Right. You got.
And I'm going to submit a video wake up for Good Guys in Black, and I'm going to give you some Pool Seeker coverage too.
Awesome. So stay tuned, dude. Always good hanging out. And
did we cover everything?
Yeah, I think we covered everything except the $20 you owe me.
I just won the lotto, bro.
Oh, nice.
I came up on 600, 900 mil or whatever.
Hey, thanks for being here. Tommy from Valley Relics, Rick Thorne, the one and only. Check out Good Guys in Black Music and Pool Seekers on Boost Mobile. Peace.
Oh, also too, real quick, I just wanted to mention this.
We like to talk a lot, so this interview, I'm surprised that we've kept it less than an hour because you and I.
Yeah, we're going on 50 minutes, but no, we'll keep it. But I forgot what I was going to say now. Anyways, yeah,
It must have been a lot.
it probably was. I was just, yeah. See you, man. Thanks,
Peace.
Tommy.
Later.
Check out the museum. I love you. Woo!